Welcome to another episode of Learning About Loans. We have a special, amazing, wonderful, incredible guest today with us. Miss Marie Dorak is going to join us. We're going to talk about the Home Fund It program. Justin Wood, as usual, here, but Justin's the one that said we need to do this and have Miss Marie on. So, Miss Marie, thank you for joining us. First and foremost, and I don't know this, so that, as usual, guys, I'm the dummy on the call. Fill me in on what you do, Miss Marie. What's your job title, and why are you here today to talk about this program?
Well, thank you again so much for having me. Marie Dorak. I am your program coordinator for the HomeFundIt team. Basically, if your customer has any questions about the program at all, I'm your go-to girl. So um, basically, once one of your customers starts a HomeFundIt campaign, I get notified immediately, and then I send them a welcome email, a welcome text message, and I include you all in on that for transparency. And then that way they, like your customer, has the ability to reach out to me and set up a time to speak with me so that we can go more onto the campaign, what the program's all about, how to customize your campaign, the works.
Nice. So you are the one that, if and when we'll talk about the Home Fund It, what it is and how we do it. But if somebody says, yes, I'm in, let's do this, you're actually going to be talking to the buyers with us. It's not just us as the mortgage folks. You're going to be there doing that part of the Home Fund It piece so that we, Justin and I can do our quote day job, right? We get them approved, we do all that stuff, but you're going to help them walk through the process of what the Home Fund It is. Did I get that right?
Correct. So
Nailed
basically, you all are the boss. I am here to work for you
it.
and to make sure that you guys are bringing them in, and then I'm making sure that your customer is happy. I'm pumping your name up. I'm pumping your brand up. I am the ultimate hype man for you all. So
Love it. Great wingman. I don't suppose that boss comes with a pay raise, but nonetheless, good to know that you're a wingman. So I love that. All right. Well, tell me in the short elevator pitch. So today we're going to talk about the Home Fund It. We're going to help those that need or want to sell it, whether it's the real estate community, us as loan officers, or even just the potential home buyer. What is the Home Fund It? Give me a quick, 30-second elevator pitch what the Home Fund It is.
absolutely. If I could pitch it quickly, basically it's a GoFundMe for your mortgage in a nutshell. If you can wrap your mind around GoFundMe, it's that, but for your down payment so that you essentially can close quicker and with more purchasing power on the back end.
Yeah, for those that don't know, in the mortgage world, you can't just randomly come up with money. Money needs to be seasoned, needs to be sourced. They need to make sure you're not selling drugs and guns. But this program, unlike really truly almost any other mortgage I know of, this program allows for like Miss Marie said, which is crowdsourcing. So grandpa, friend, best friend, cousin's cousin. You can get money which normally are unacceptable forms of gifts or money to get money from. This program allows it to come from anybody and everybody to put it in to then use for a down payment. Now, can it be used for closing costs as well, or is it only for a down payment?
Well, that's the cool thing. So let's say you have crowdsourced enough to actually cover your down payment and you still have some money left over. We can actually use those funds to buy down the rate. So you can use that as an option as well. Or let's say if you're going with a loan program that is zero money down, you're like, well, I have all this money now in my account. What are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to buy down the rate.
Cool. So buy down the rates or down payment, but not to make sure I'm reading in between the lines. It doesn't cover air quotes normal closing costs like the title fees or traditional lender fees. It's for buying down the rate or the down payment. Is that correct and accurate?
No, actually. So
Okay.
this is the cool thing. So this is where CMG comes in and is a huge power player here. So basically for every dollar that's donated to the account, CMG is then going to come in and give you $2 for every $1. So essentially, if you have at least $1,000 into your account or 1% of your purchase price, CMG is going to give up to $2,000 towards your closing cost.
Okay. We need to break that down and say it again. So for every dollar they raise, so we're going to say somebody raises $1,000. So they got their friends, they got their family, they went and sang songs on the street and downtown and raised some money playing guitar, whatever it is, wherever they're coming up with this money, they put $1,000 in the Home Funded account. CMG gives them $2, so the total of $3,000 total.
Yes, correct. So 1,000 towards your down payment, 2,000 towards your closing costs.
So the closing costs. So the parts I mentioned where quote doesn't cover it, it's the money they raise goes towards down payment or paying down their rate. But CMG gives an extra $2 on top of that to then go towards the normal closing costs, like I mentioned, the title, underwriting, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
Good night, girl. I've been here too long to not know this product that well. That's awesome. Okay. So you said something about up to 1%. Are there, I assume there's limits. Is that limits to what they can raise or limits to what we give or both?
Yes and no. So let's say if someone's purchasing a home that's 150,000, we're not going like then we'll only do the 1%. But if someone's purchase price is 400,000, then we will only do the up to 2,000 on that.
2000. And so you say up to, meaning that's what the company will contribute.
Correct.
So on 100, so just for those keeping track at home, the $150,000 purchase price is at 1% of the purchase price or loan amount?
Purchase price.
Purchase price. So 1% of the purchase price. So somebody buying a $150,000 home, they're going to be capped at the 1,500 because that is 1% of 150 grand. For somebody buying a home basically bigger than 200,000, they're going to be capped at the 2 grand cap for what we give. It's like, we're nice, we're good, we're great, but we're not that nice. We're going to give 2 grand, which is real money. And that's real like benefit. But at some point we gotta make sure we don't go out of business just giving away free money to everybody. So got that. How much can they raise? So can they raise $15,000 in their own home funded account?
Yeah, so the only limitation is that it's 5,000 per donor, but essentially they could get their entire mortgage paid off if they're able to. So let's say if you have, 100 people donate $5,000 each, that's $500,000. Boom, go wild with it. We're here
So
for.
there's no limit to what they can raise, but there is a limit on per person, 5 grand.
Yes, correct.
Dang. All right. So, and if you don't know, this is where we can. This is why we bring Justin around for the hard stuff that I don't know. With the home funded, can I use this on any program? I assume I can use it for FHA, VA, USDA, conventional. Like what can and what can't I use it for?
So essentially you can use it on anything but a bond loan.
Okay. So for those, again, at home that don't know what bond loans are like down payment assistance type programs where they come in and they help pay for the down payment, which makes sense because the home funded is trying to basically eliminate the need for those bond loans by allowing somebody to go get non-traditional sources of money to then put for the down payment. So anything that's not a bond program, we can use as a down payment. No limit to what they can raise, 5 grand total. What about rate? And again, this may go back to Justin. Well, Marie, you get first dibs, ladies first. Does the rate increase or is it a normal program? How's that work?
Well, honestly, I'm not a loan officer.
Justin,
So.
Justin, you're up, buddy. This is where you come off mute and you save the day. Make us look good. Do they pay a premium? Is there an extra rate add-on? Is there an extra cost of doing this?
No, there's no pricing add-on. You price it as normal. It's your standard in the box products, conventional, FHA, all that stuff. And I will say with the bond program that Maria pointed out, a lot of those bond programs, the downside is the interest rate, right? You're getting DPA, but the rate's maybe 1, 2, 2.5% above market. So this is a competitive solution to keep your pricing normal, get a competitive rate out there, and come up with a secondary source for the down payment.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, down payment, like in Texas, there's Seth, T-Shack, TDHCA, then there's some of the national ones like Chinoa, like all these names. It's not just a higher rate, but if I'm not mistaken, those programs also charge fees, correct? Like a half point or 1 or 2 points as well. Is that correct?
Right. So then your 3% DPA program quickly becomes a 2% DPA program, and you've got the rate add-on due to the extra fees that these servicing companies that originate these products charge you. So it's not really
just to be clear, guys, like the DPA programs are great for those that need it, right? If you don't have enough friends or family, and don't mean that the way it sounds, but if you don't have enough folks that are able to contribute and help and get this money from the home funded, if you don't have it, you don't have it, and that's okay. Those are great and wonderful programs, but they can pay, like Justin said, 3% of your down payment. The down payment programs can assist that, but when they charge you 1% of a fee, you're really only netting the 2, and that's okay. Again, if you don't have it, they're good programs. This is the preferred because from the sounds of it, better rate because you're getting quote normal rates. And we don't have a fee, Marie. We don't have a fee for this thing. We just do it because we're just that darn good.
We're just that good with it. And
I don't make
actually,
any money.
If I can blow your mind even more, so HomeFundIt can be coupled with other programs such as, depending on your census, like Borrow Smart, and some other DPA programs like that. So if you are getting additional funding from things like Borrow Smart, you can couple that with HomeFundIt and take all the money home.
The good news is I do know what Borrow Smart is because we did that episode last week. I didn't know what it was prior to that. And again, I got great people like Justin, Tamara, Crystal. I got great folks that do know those things, and that's their world, and that's their makes them awesome. All right, so rates the same, no cost, no limit to what they can raise, $5,000 per donor. Our company will contribute $2,000 max or 1%, whichever is less, and because it's normal programs, Justin, you can just nod your head. I'm assuming normal credit scores, all that stuff are required. It's just a normal underwriting process, correct?
That's right. Cool.
And yep. They get to talk to Miss Marie when this starts, so they can go do it. Oh, I have a question. I saw something when I first started a while back for this program. There was something about you can spend money and make money. Is that still a thing here? Am I making that up? Does that even ring a bell for you?
Are you talking about the UpIt program?
I don't know. Let's go. Whatever that is. Is that a thing?
Yeah, so we do have a shopping feature, part of the campaign that's built in called UpIt. And so basically, whenever someone clicks on that feature, they can see what all stores are available. And if they're going to online shop, go ahead and do it through the campaign. That way they get kind of like a cashback rebate that's going to go towards your down payment as well. So let's say if you like shopping at Target or
RJ.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that through UpIt, and then that way, and anyone can do it. It doesn't just have to be the customer. The customer can actually give their campaign link to all their friends and family and say, hey, if you're going to make online purchases, do it through my campaign. That way I get the rebate back on that too.
Okay. So everything I'm like, yeah. That I'm like, hold on, do you ever get any pushback from customers when you explain the UpIt? First of all, is UpIt a third party? Let's start there. Is UpIt a third party random normal thing in real life?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it's a foundation that I think it's what a 40, it's a nonprofit.
A nonprofit, so 503c or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Some whatever numbers. So it's a nonprofit. Does it exist for the sole purpose of this?
Yes.
Or does it? You're kidding.
I kid you not. I mean,
wow.
I didn't make it, but I'll take all the credit for it. So
you get it, girl. It's all yours. Okay, so UpIt is for this program. So in other words, somebody not buying a house isn't going to use UpIt. It's only when they're doing this program with the HomeFundIt, they're going to go to the UpIt. So the UpIt is, think of it like an affiliated link to where if I go to Target in this example, and I'm going to buy the whatever we buy that shows up daily from target.com at my house, it's like Amazon, but I spend $300 on Target. What percentage or how does that work in terms of the UpIt? Does it vary based on vendor? And even if it does, give me a ballpark for what's normal. Like, do I get $3 of a credit? Do I get what's normal?
I will say it is pennies to the dollar and each store varies, but still it's better than nothing. And if you shop with UpIt or if you share your campaign onto one of our 3 social media platforms, which are Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. So if you do any of those things within the first 48 hours of starting a campaign, we'll actually allocate $200 onto your account as like a quick start bonus. So right off the bat, if you shop in the first day and if you share in the first day, that's $400 towards your closing costs that CMG is already giving you.
So does that go? So let's say it is a $2,000 limit, right? They're going to buy a $300,000 home. They got a $2,000 limit. Does that mean the $2,000 becomes $2,400 in your example, or does it just get to the $2,000 faster?
Yes.
Because again, remember, for those that are paying attention, for every $1 they put in, it's 2 for us. So if somebody doesn't raise $1,000, they raise 800. We're only going to put in 1,600. So in that example, by doing whatever actions you mentioned in the first 48 hours, they will then get, if they did those 2 actions, they get an extra $400 to get there to the full 2.
Correct.
Golly. Okay, I was going to say initially, before you said the 200. I was going to suggest and recommend that I'm not even going to bring it up to my clients because it just feels like that's a little different. Like, we're a mortgage company, so why do I care if you shop at Target? I still don't know. I still don't love that feature, but I do love the result of that feature.
Yeah. I
Meaning,
mean,
hey, homeowner, I get that this is silly, but go buy your diapers from Target, right? Or go buy your weekend snacks or whatever you want to do. Go buy something from Target just because that one action doesn't matter the dollars from what it sounds like. It doesn't matter the dollars. It's just the activity. And
right.
then go ahead and share it on a platform. And if nothing else, you can get the extra 400. Now, again, that 400 is independent of what they raise. Is that correct?
Correct.
So
Well,
what if
it goes towards the $2,000.
it goes towards the two that, but if they only raise $100, do they still get the full 400 if they do those activities, or does it
Yeah.
need to match? Okay. So
Yeah.
if nothing else, free money to do
It's free
something like
money.
$40.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how we're making money and why we care if somebody shops at Target, but I guess I don't care. As long as homeowners get free money, let's do
Don't
it.
ask too many questions and let it
Yeah.
happen.
It's like,
Let it
who
happen.
cares, right? Good for them. All right. Justin, what questions am I forgetting to bring up or ask? Because we've talked about closing costs, which are none extra at least. We've talked about interest rate. There's no upcharge or no premium. You can do it for all products and programs minus the big DPAs bond programs. You can still use it in conjunction with some of the other little perks and tweaks from other programs. For every $1 the borrower puts in, they get 2 from us. You do the little shopping thing, up it, whatever it's called, which is kind of a funny name. Do that within the first 48 hours and they can get extra couple $100. What else am I forgetting, JW? Anything that you can think of?
Yeah, I think the only threshold is when they donate a certain amount, Marie, some of them have to do like a DocuSign gift letter, correct? And that's just for, I guess, compliance reasons, or whatever it might be, but it's not as in-depth as our normal gift letter process is. So could you touch on that a little bit more, what that threshold is?
Yeah, so anything over 500, we do require that document to be signed, which, it's basically just a click up of the button. So there's
So
that.
the document says, and again, I'm not aware because again, God, Justin, so good, such a great question. I'm assuming the document says something to the effect of basically, I'm gifting this money and I don't expect repayment. Is that all? It's just basically to show that this isn't like a temporary loan that they're getting from somebody and that they got to then qualify with this said payment. So it's the gift. The gift is kind of just makes it to where we can wave our hands and say, look, I know this person just raised $5,000 and it's not a liability that we then need to qualify them for on a monthly piece from our side. So that's why they got to have, if it's over $500, say, hey man, that's free money. Do what you want with it, right?
Yeah, it just
Cool.
further protects us as a
Oh,
company.
makes total sense. All right. So J-Dub, great question. Any other questions, Mr. Justin? Because I got a few more.
Yeah, no, if you got a few more.
Let's go. All right. So now let's speak to the realtors and loan officers that are watching this. So if a consumer gets a hold of it, good for you guys. You know as much as we do. Now you're going to find out some of the behind the curtain stuff. What is the best way? Yes, hit me.
I have one more thing to add.
Ooh, hit me.
Okay. So let's say you have a bunch of money that you have allocated onto your account, but something happens and you're not able to close anymore for whatever reason. A lot of people ask, what happens to that money in our account? So they actually have the ability to transfer their donated funds into their personal bank account at any point. The only thing that will not transfer over is the CMG funds for closing costs, but they're able to do that at any point. But once they do, the campaign is completely shut down. So make sure before your borrower does transfer anything or starts messing internally with the account that they are aware that it will shut down. Closing costs will be lost, or the CMG funds will be lost, but they are able to do that at any point if they should need to. So.
You can pull the eject, push the eject button, pull the ripcord, whatever you want to say, and you can get out of it and get your money that you put in. You can get it out at any time. Just it's not a line of credit. You can't come back and forth. It's just if you want it, take your money and run, but you better keep running.
Yep.
Got it. All right, now going to the loan officers and the realtors. Give me the top 1, 2, or 3 things, depending on how many you have in store. I have one in particular that I think you're going to say. What's the best way to market this aside from just putting little taglines and hooks on social? What do you think are some of the most powerful ways that people get the word out and we can use as an arrow in our quiver?
Well, obviously, I'm a big fan of the wedding expos. So a lot of people are going to trade shows and wedding trade shows using the product. Number one, it's free marketing for you all. So anytime that someone does start a campaign or share a campaign with your link, you're automatically marketed at the bottom of that link. But something like a wedding expo is genius because let's say you have a bride and groom, they're getting married, automatically they're already asking for gifts and money for their wedding and for after. So why not let that money help them with essentially the biggest purchase they'll ever make in their life and their biggest asset. And when they do that, so let's say if I am someone who's attending a wedding and they put their QR code to their campaign by the open bar. And let's say we're drinking, we're having a good time. I'm not suggesting people to get their guests, inebriated so that they
I
can
will.
money back.
Get them liquored
It's
up
not
and they're going
yet.
to be
It's not
nicer. No
yet.
question.
But yeah, so they can scan that code while they're at the festivities for the wedding, and not only can they donate while they're attending, but also then let's say if I'm a patron or I'm just a guest and I'm looking through their campaign, boom, you and your realtor partner are right there, like, hey, this is who the bride and groom are working with. Yeah.
I love that. So again, I think the real value in that is if you figure you got 100 people at the wedding, if everybody gives you $100, all of a sudden you're looking at real money in your bank account, 10 grand, like that. I
Yeah.
think I did the math right. That's incredible. So again, I love that. I would even put it in front of the buffet, and you don't get to eat until you made a donation. That'd be my 2 cents. I do love that though, because again, as you get married, again, a lot of folks that we talk to, and heck, even just one today, they're literally planning for their wedding 6 months from now, right? They're already looking at buying a house today. So to your point, they don't need to wait till the wedding. They can start now, send it out for the, hey, if you want to get us something, we, instead of that China plate we'll never use, we'd certainly love this instead to help us buy a home and start our family together. So love that. If you have something else that's going to be like way down, because that's a really good idea. What else have you seen people do for success? I'll only ask for one more. What else you can reach back deep in the bag of tricks? What else do you think is good for marketing?
Down. Okay, so one thing that I did suggest to someone one time was they were like, listen, I do not have any events coming up. I feel awkward and weird just like sending my link out to people. What do you got for me? What can I do? And I was like, well, why don't you do something like a pre-housewarming party or a pre-stock the bar party, but be like, hey, I actually need the house before we do a housewarming. So why don't you make an invitation with your QR code, send that on out and be like, hey, this is my goal and I'd love to have a housewarming party. Can you help me get the house?
I love that. So like engagement parties, we had one that I forget what it was, but it was for air quote me. And I'm like, that felt like punishment, but they got me. And I'm not a handy guy, but I'm like, all you're doing is giving me the, I can't say I can't do it. I got to hire somebody because now I have the stuff. So I like that idea way better. A stock the bar party, bring me a handle of booze, and you're going to drink it anyway. Like with you, the guest, you might as well give me some extra money for this. So I love that. I was also thinking, as far as marketing, there's individuals out there that don't have a lot of credit. They just don't use a lot of credit. They don't need a lot of credit. So they keep a lot of cash at home. And so for us, for Justin and me on the documentation side, it's really tough. If somebody's got mattress money and they got 3 to 5 grand just sitting at home in the safe or under the mattress, wherever it is, this is a great program where in some form or fashion, that money could come in without having to do the whole jumping around the mortgage hoops. I'm not supposed to probably say that. I understand you probably don't want to hear it, but the reality is it's just something that I'm like, oh, that could happen. I'm not saying it should. We don't want it to happen, but it could.
Can I intervene?
Yeah, unless you're going to get me in trouble with compliance.
No. So let's say someone shakes out their shoe, right? And like, oh my gosh, here's a couple $1,000s,
Sure.
whatever. What I would suggest, because someone cannot self-donate to their own campaign. That's
Yeah. No, I get that.
You can't do that. But and I didn't say this, but
No.
hypothetically, if
This
they
is only being recorded, by the way. But yes,
yeah, whatever. I didn't say this. But yeah, maybe they Venmo their parents and we're like, hey.
again,
You
if mom
know,
and dad want to give me money, God love them. And
I'm
if
not
I,
talking about money laundering. I'm just saying you kind of
no,
have to shake off
no,
too,
we're
and
not
that
selling,
risk
we're not
aspect.
selling drugs and guns. Again, we're not
I'm
suggesting
looking the other way.
this.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're not suggesting anybody do that. We're just saying it's weird how sometimes that can happen. That's all. We're just making an observation. So we're good. So the Home Funded program, freaking awesome. It sounds like I've done a very lousy job, which my job on the team is to help make it rain and to get the word out and do stuff. I've done a very poor job. I will raise my hand and say I will take ownership. Justin, I know you've done some, and it's probably because you're that good and I'm not. And that's okay. You are better than me, and I get that. But man, I don't, any closing remarks, Miss Marie? I mean, it sounds like we've covered it, but is there anything else we want to just one last punch to say that here's how great we are?
I mean, basically, if you guys have any questions at all, I'm always available. I probably work way more than I should. So if you do ever have questions, I'm always on green. So just let me know. And please know that if your customer has any questions, you're like, oh, I'm not really sure. I'd love to talk to them. I'd love to make you look good and pump you up and explain the program to its fullest to them for you.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and I'm, for whatever reason, if you want to know what I'm going to do, I'm going to say everything we just talked about today. If there's any other questions, we're going to Marie. So we appreciate you, Miss Marie. You're amazing. Justin, thank you for making this happen and for your amazing participation as well. As always, guys, thanks for learning about loans, and we'll see you on the next edition. Bye, buddy.